Hello and welcome to Brothers Grappers, episode 35B.
B.
In fairness, we should have run through this idea before I actually put it through. But yes, we are going to take a look at Catch the Catch Enigma series episodes 3 and 4. Um, as you can tell, one member of the team has dropped out, and we have Sam from Rambling About Wrestling still with us. Um, I was got to say good evening, but we
Yeah.
haven't particularly changed days. We're still here.
It's now the two best halves of the two best wrestling YouTube uh podcast slash review shows in Manchester.
If, effectively,
Yeah.
um, I mean, if you don't include, say, Rochdale, then you don't have graps and claps to that, or uh, penciled in podcast. Uh, but then I can say I've got a finger in that pie, as I am technically producer when needs to be. However, you're not here for us to talk waffle. Um, I mean, you can do if you want. You can pay us or
Find
don't
us
pay
at a
us.
show, yeah.
Yeah, but
Toss
get
us
us.
a fiver at a show and we'll talk about anything you want.
Yeah, within reason and not illegal. So, as I say, we are looking at episode 3, uh, as it was the Group A matches. And we had quite a bit happen on episode 3, to be fair. So we will get straight into it. So, uh, the rules again for the Enigma series, for those that do not know, because this is a separate episode. So get your voice warmed up here. So we have for the Enigma series a 10 minute, 10-minute time limit on all.
10-minute time limit.
There we go. On all matches. If you win, you get 2 points.
2 points, 2 points, 2 points.
If you or you get 1 point if it is a time limit draw.
Time limit draw. Time limit draw.
You get nothing for a loss, but we don't do out for that because no one actually says it. And -1 point for a count out or a disqualification.
-1. -1.
See, we're well behaved and well adjusted wrestling fans. Um, so we start off episode 3 with a block A match.
Block A, block A, block A.
I've got him well trained, ladies and gentlemen. It is Keinen Krishna taking on Kevin Lloyd. So let's get into the notes, of which I don't particularly have too many. So it is effectively a very technical encounter at the start. With Lloyd and Krishna running through their repertoire of technical moves. Something we haven't really seen Krishna do in this particular tournament. Um, but we see Keinen slapping Sexy Kev on the back, and that really fires Lloyd up. Lloyd then hits a drop kick with the ref. Oh, sorry. Lloyd is then hit by a drop kick after ref Stu is talking to Sexy Kev. This allows Keinen to gain the upper hand. We then have Krishna driving the point of the elbow into the neck and shoulder area, uh, much like his opening block match, resorts to trying to gouge the eyes and gain any advantage he can by doing so. Uh, Keinen targets the left arm of Lloyd, and again, with the gloves that he wears, targets the eyeballs of one Kevin Lloyd. However, Sexy Kev then puts him in an armbar and nails a few sweet German suplexes. Um, Both target the arm of the other opponent. Krishna goes on to hit the Death Valley Driver and collect another 2 points in Block A. Um, Krishna is your winner. What was your take on this particular opening match of Block A?
So with this match, it was a very different affair because in this block of the tournament, Kev and Keinen are the two smaller men. Um, you know, so they had a very different match than the rest of the matches we have seen in this block, where instead of it being, a sl instead of it being big power moves and make like
Mm,
more storytelling, we did get a lot of more like strikes. It was like
mm,
watching just hard hitting
mm,
blows, and it was sort of like they was both trying to target certain areas, and that was the story they were trying to tell. It's an interesting detail how Keinen uh he he slaps his opponent,
mm,
arrogantly, and that causes his opponents to get back into his matches. So that's a nice detail that is across both of his tournament matches up to now.
mm.
And you've said this in the previous episode, but no one would have predicted that Keinen would be the front runner at this stage in the tournament. And it's really his to lose. He's like Arsenal, it's his to bottle.
That is one way to look at things. We then moved to match number two, which was originally scheduled for the catch. Oh, no, sorry, it wasn't the catch women's title. I completely ignore that. It was Holly Barlow against Melissa Fierce. However, we then had the catch women's champion in Lily Winter making an appearance, put forward the idea that she wanted to be a fighting champion and made this a triple threat match. And then we were joined by Lana Austin, who, having Mark Adams say that we haven't been demonetized yet because we have been very good. There's been no swearing. Lana Austin comes out and immediately comes out with twat and fuck. And that money just sinks and continues to go close to where the Titanic is. Um, so effectively, we get a four-way with Lana saying that she is Manchester's hometown hero. She should be fitted in this contest. I think Holly says she's from Manchester as well, and Lana just dismisses her completely. Just goes, "Yeah, no one cares." Um, with Lana just being as she is. So Lily agrees to this being a four-way, and then Austin decides to deck her, and we go into this contest. So we have Winter hitting double knees to Fierce, knocks down Austin. Holly Barlow then hits a couple of crossbody attempts on the champion. Melissa Fierce then trips Holly up, drags her into the ring post. Fierce is then the woman in charge in this bout and hits mocking Holly chants while she hits a backbreaker on Barlow. Mel then grabs the legs of Barlow and swings them round to the outside and hits her very, 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 very best friend in Lana Austin, and then proceeds to hit a backstabber while in the ropes. A slingshot elbow by Fierce over the top rope and into the ring sees Fierce effectively being the biggest threat in this match. Then she goes on to hit a driver on Holly. Holly fights back, but her back takes an absolute pounding, uh, with Melissa Fierce whipping her violently into all four corners near enough. We then see Lally combining and hitting a combination of offenses, but I think Mark Adams puts it better than I ever could on commentary by saying that combination was as beautiful as a Cadbury's fruit and nut. Uh, a true Oscar Wilde amongst us. Holly then goes to roll up Lana. Lana's face is one of utter disgust and dismay, but then softens because Holly apologizes and says, I've obviously rubbed off on Holly because she's learnt from the best. Lally hug in the ring. And then we see both Lily and Melissa rolling up the two members of Lally, both uh, gaining 2 counts. We then have Lally ganging up on Lily Winter, who is sat precariously on the top rope and not too far from where the commentary desk is. However, Fierce comes over, hits a double power bomb on Barlow and Austin. Mel then kicks the legs away from Winter and face plants her into the mat, but only gets a 2 count. But after that, she notices that both Barlow and Austin are down and takes turns going to each person, covering them for a pinfall, and gets 2 every time off referee James Greenwood. Lana then catches Mel, puts her in a half crab, so going full on Michael Oku. Lily, however, hits the cold shoulder on Holly, and while Mel taps out to the half crab, Greenwood counts the pinfall for Lily Winter over Holly Barlow and sees Lana thinking she's won the women's title, and obviously has not, as Greenwood removes the belt and Lily Winter takes it from Lana Austin. Um, and then pretty much Lana punches Lily, proceeds to attack the champion, holds the belt aloft. And I think where this is going is we're going to see Lana taking on Lily Winter for the catch championship. Uh, Probably, I would say, a good bet. If not the next Enigma Series show, then definitely at Gorilla. What was your thoughts on this women's title bout?
Um, I really like the fact that they didn't necessarily say, they didn't announce Lily were gonna come out and Lana were gonna come out. Uh so it was a nice surprise for the crowd, and I think it got the crowd, to instantly get engaged in this
Hmm.
match because of the surprise. So like normally the hump matches are the hardest ones, to uh get a spark in, but this um, you know, a nice surprise which led to a really entertaining contest because there was action outside of the ring, in the ring. even though there was only four of them, they made it feel like they were all over. And despite the fact they could only really access two sides of the ring, could
Yeah,
the other two sides, you'd be brawling on the fans. Um, I'd say the only weak spot of the match is the fact that Lana's kind of right in the rules. He should like because the submission was in first. Greenwood shouldn't have left the submission to count the pin. Like so, in terms of the actual rule book of matches, Lana should technically be the champion. She got, the Melissa Fist did tap out, despite the fact that the three was counted at the same time because Lana's was in first, she technically should be the champion right now.
it's a sticky subject. Um, I have found myself wading through these problems in the past. Um, Again, I always go off the thing of a pinfall will take priority over a submission, um, because it's the easier thing to do out of the two. Um, but it would be interesting if you counted the three and also gave the submission at the same time. I will have to ask a referee friend of mine for what the official um, rules are on this situation. Um, so I will report back at a later date on the findings uh, of what transpires. Um, we then come to a promo from the one and only Mr. Ian Skinner. Uh, Skinner comes out in an eye patch and a fur coat, looking very much like Jerry St. Clair in Phoenix Nights when he described himself as a gay Satan. Uh, if you're a fan of Phoenix Nights, you will get that reference. The fans all chant, "Where's your parrot?" Um, because Skinner is wearing eye patch, which I don't particularly think he explains why he's wearing an eye patch. Um, I don't think that's ever mentioned, to be fair. Skinner then references that people have been making a lot of pirate-based jokes at him and effectively runs through them. Uh, to which Skinner waits for the crowd to die down, and a sole voice in the crowd chants, "In your own time, mate." Um, which did make me chuckle when I watched it back. He says he wants silence and he wants the crowd to listen. And the people in the red arches start chanting, "We're not listening." And Skinner's response to that chant every single time is, "That's your fault," which I did find quite humorous. Didn't realize it at the time, but when I've watched it back, it is very deadpan how he does it. He then makes reference to Steen mentioning about violence and murder. The crowd chant murder. Uh, then we have fans chanting, "We want Aiton." Skinner replies, "He's not here," uh, effectively responding to that chant. He apologizes to the fans for what he and Steen were doing, brawling at Gorilla. Claims Steen wasn't meant to be uh, at the last recording, but he says, "I was actually meant to be here," which is why he's there. The fans can't decide on what chant they want, with some chanting violence, some chanting murder, and Skinner gets a bit pissy and says, "Can you decide what chant you actually want?" He's quite pissy with the crowd. Skinner in this promo. Uh, we then have, as I move to the next page, he pulls out a metal turnbuckle hook, and in the infamous words of Michael Keaton in Batman from the 1989 film, uh, he says, "Do you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." And then a couple of seconds after, it goes, "These nuts." Um, I don't think he got the response he actually wanted when he cracked that little joke at the end. Um, he goes on to say Steen's not here again, but he says if he wants, he can come to the Red Arches because I will be here. Shouts down the crowd quite a fair few times, saying, "I'm the one with the microphone, not you. You're out there because you paid a ticket. Uh, so why are you talking? This is my time." Then gets a chant of "We got tickets" from the crowd in the Red Arches. Um, he then goes on to say, uh, "At Gorilla, at Gimme Danger, the dog collar match, you will get what you want: violence, murder, but you won't like the result when Ian Skinner has his hand raised in victory." Um, while he's saying all that, says violence and murder, the crowd cheer every single word he effectively says. Uh, up until actually no, even when he says you won't like the result, the crowd still cheer. Uh, so either the crowd were a bit pissed in a drink wise, or they weren't listening. Um, it could be a mixture of both. To be fair, um, uh, what did you make of this promo?
Um, I will say it's very on brand of Catch to have the long promos. Um, they love a good long promo. Heel comes out there and just is a prick, basically, to the
But
crowd.
Skinner does it so well.
Yeah, he does. He's very good. I hate to admit, but he's very good. And by the way, just saying, when he was apologizing to the fans, um, he still hasn't apologized to me because if you recall back to Gorilla, the brawl, it's
Mm.
on the video. They knock into me when they start fighting, and they push me out the way. What? I got my phone in my hand and nearly knock it out.
Oh, I don't expect you to get an apology anytime soon. Let's
No.
put it that way. Maybe you're the cause of this rivalry.
Well, I don't want to say am, but right before they did start brawling, I did say to Aiton, punch him, because Ian Skinner spat in Aiton's face on the merch stand, and was like saying him to get away 6 feet because of the restraining order or whatever. So
But yeah, it again, much in the same vein as Steen's promo, it it helped to move the storyline along. So it did what it needed to do. And
keeps the fire warm.
and it we had a bit of fun with Skinny Skinner being a dick to some of the fans. Um, but for some people, he's a lovable dick.
Yeah, we
Uh,
all love a good dick now and then.
oh yes. We then come to the main event of Show 3, which was Henry Faust against Deck McCarthy. A rematch of their match at Gorilla, and that was one of my favorite uh, bouts that we saw. Um, that was a physical and bruising encounter, and this was exactly in the same form. Deck hits hard. Faust strikes McCarthy hard between the shoulder blades with a solid, stiff strike. Again, the best striker from Newcastle since Alan Shearer. I will try and get that phrase over. Uh, he then tries to apply a dragon sleeper, but McCarthy is very quick to get into the ropes. Deck focuses on the left arm of Henry and does not let go for a good minute or two, putting on the Shankly Gate submission hold, which was perfected by Zach Gibson of the grizzled young veterans. Faust ducks a clothesline, smacks Deck full in the chest, and I think most people outside would have heard it as it reverberated around that venue. This leads to Faust firing up. We then have him, I think it's about 3 or 4 stiff kicks to the chest of his opponent. Results soon after with Henry putting the Dragon Sleeper on McCarthy, has Deck tapping out to it, and sees Fausty Boy getting his first win in the Enygma Series. Uh, and we now have an interesting development with the Block A card reading Keinen Krishna with 4 points, McCarthy and Faust on 2, and it's all but over now for Kevin Lloyd as he has failed to register a point so far. What was your take on this contest?
Um, I really liked this contest. I didn't see the first time these two men have gone against each other, so this was my first time seeing this bout. And the term big meaty men slapping meat is common in wrestling.
Mm,
This is the definition because these two just they were both just red
yeah,
after this, both just bright red from the chops, the kicks and everything. And it's wild that they had this match on the middle of the tournament,
yeah.
instead of at either the beginning or the end. But what a treat for round for the second show,
Mm,
the third show even. Uh, and it's interesting now because uh unless Declan gets involved, he has no control on how Faust will end this tournament. Uh, because Declan is facing Keinen,
mm,
and if and Declan he needs to get something against
Keenan.
Keinen in order to his best hope to tie it. His best hope that is that Kev Lloyd beats Faust, and then it's him and Keinen tied. Worst case scenario, uh, he he lets Keinen win
Mm.
because
It's
even a draw would give Keinen the win.
but it's going to be an interesting uh, final round of matches on the I think it's 27.
Yes,
Um, so that will definitely be something to look forward to. As you kind of said, the final round of matches is Keenan v. Depp McCarthy and Henry Faust taking on Kevin Lloyd.
you got to think Kev is going to give it his all because it will be a little bit embarrassing for him if he comes up with no points, nil point, in the tournament. So even though he might not be able to win, he's gonna give it his all against Faust.
I mean, we had Tom Felwell last year finishing on -1. So, you know, 0 isn't that bad. It's
But
not minus.
for someone who doesn't cheat,
Yeah,
0 is the worst that you can possibly do, theoretically.
I, f- I think this tournament it's almost felt like they're wise. It's almost like they've had to be on their game against Lloyd because they know he is very good on submissions. And if you avoid getting caught in them, you have more than a puncher's chance of winning. Um, so as long as you avoid the armbar and any real kind of like submissions off Lloyd, you you have more than a good chance of victory. Um, Again, the main thing to do when you face Krishna is just avoid him raking your eyes because that seems to be the the best plan he has. And as much as it's frustrating, it's working, and you can't mess with anything that's working.
Yeah, it will be interesting against Declan, 'cause Declan's main plan is to go after your arms, set you
Hmm.
can't do your power moves, but Keinen doesn't fight like that. So
Yeah,
it's interesting what Declan can cook up to try and uh get Keinen down for the pin or submission, because that's the only thing that he can do at this point.
because if you look at it, that last round you've got Keinen who likes to focus on mostly like the eyes and try and pick a body part. McCarthy is just going to kind of grind you down and use brute strength. And the other match is just the most technical sound one. And it's almost a case of will they be wanting to kind of get a submission over the other? So it's going to be very interesting. Both of them are very interesting kind of final round matches. Um, but we move to show number 4, our last episode of the 2 shows at the Red Arches. We start off with a Scott Oberman Open Challenge. Uh, we have Greenwood taking bets on how long Scott's entrance is going to take. And while we have that, Mark informs Lucy that he is on Grinder, um, while everyone kind of just talks amongst themselves. So we've got Mark on Grinder, Greenwood taking bets on how long Green Oberman's entrance is. And for those that would like to know, we made it that it's once he gets into the ring. And that
Both
was,
feet must touch the mat
yeah,
in order to count. It's like
it's the
Royal
opposite
Rumble
of a
rules.
rumble.
It's the reverse battle royal rules.
Yeah. And if you're interested to know the time, it was 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Um, so if you want to play that game again on the 27th, try and aim around that time frame. Um, Eventually, Scott gets in the ring and chats. Says he doesn't understand why on earth Catch keep letting him choose his opponents. He then says he's not going to do the obvious thing of choosing a wrestler. He's going to pick a fan out, um, and he's going to let the fans decide on who he's going to face, which couldn't possibly go wrong unless you're Jeebus. Um, so he says the only one he actually knows in the crowd is Jeebus, and gets a massive cheer from the crowd. Um, to which I can't understand. I'm trying to figure out if they're fans of Jeebus or they just wanted to see him being broken in half. Um, I'll let you decide on that. Mark Adams then gets chanted and he very quickly leaves the ring. Greenwood gets a bit of a reaction, but not to the levels that Jeebus did. So Oberman then tells Jeebus to stand up and come towards the ring because he's going to face Oberman. Uh, Pele runs into the ring though, grabs the microphone, says Jeebus isn't a wrestler, but he is, and says, "You want someone to answer your challenge? Well, you got me." Um, so Scott effectively accepts this challenge, and it called back to the last time he was defending the belt. He goes to shove Greenwood, or shove the referee, which was Greenwood on this time. Uh, Goes to kick Pele in the dick, uh, much like he did to Riley Miles. However, Pele was very smart to know what was going to happen. Grabs the boot or holds the boot of Oberman in his hands and has him hopping around, going, "Sweetheart, shh, you've had long enough. Shut up and just wait for me to kick your ass." Uh, Oberman takes a swing, misses. Pele then cross chops Scott in the chest and kind of throat area, uh, which then has an irate James Greenwood shouting in the face of Oberman, "Take your jacket off and get ready," which does not have the champion in the best of moods. And then has Greenwood going on to say, "Get up and get ready. Stop wasting your time." Uh, so we can tell that he's pissed Greenwood off at this point. However, Scott does not get the opportunity because Pele makes a beeline for him, and we get straight into this contest. So we have Pele doing the stratosphere kind of legs move where the opponent is on the top rope. Pele kind of does a handstand, legs go around the neck of his opponent and brings him down, much like Trish Stratus used to do, hence stratosphere. Uh, However, Oberman catches Pele with a throat cross chop to, sorry, a cross chop to the throat of Pele. I'm writing my notes like I'm Yoda for some reason. Pele is gasping for air. Greenwood checks on him, but effectively this kind of hampers Pele throughout the contest. Scott does his traditional jump on the back of his opponent and pose in the ring ropes. Uh, Oberman gets a bit cocky moving forward as he hits a shoulder into the gut of Pele, hits a nice spear, but can only draw a 2 count. Oberman then picks up Pele to hit the Spirit of the Blues, which is effectively a tombstone. Uh, Pele will wriggle and jiggle, very much like the spider in There Was an Old Woman Who Swallowed a Fly. Pele gets out of it, uses his knees to drive into the head of the champion. Oberman then runs his shoulder, I was going to say face first, but shoulder first into the ring post. Scott throws Pele over the top rope. Pele then does his traditional returning back into the ring where he stands on the ring apron, kind of leans back, enters the ring, hits a nice cutter, it has to be said, on Oberman. But as he goes to make the pinfall, Oberman slowly rolls out of the ring. Pele goes to hit a senton splash, but misses. And Oberman then puts a crossface chicken wing on Pele while down on the mat and sees Oberman retaining the catch championship. After the contest, Oberman grabs the microphone and says that no one can stop him. He can do what he wants when he wants. And this is all going on while Oberman's theme music is playing in the background of Metallica, Nothing Else Matters. And as he goes to leave the ring, the music kind of starts skipping and jumps. The crowd start cheering because they think it's an actual technical problem. Uh, However, what it is alluding to is a graphic that pops up and has the entire room popping. As at Gorilla on May 25th, we will get Scott Oberman defending his Catch Pro Wrestling title against Manchester's own Luke Jacobs. Uh, and also the only man that Oberman has not beat from the Northwest Strong Collective. So, with all that said, Sam, digest and cipher through what we have just heard.
It were good, didn't it?
Yeah.
uh, no,
Um.
no. But in all seriousness, um, I really like what they've been doing. In an earlier podcast episode I was on, you said that you're tired of all the open challenges in the Manchester scene that's been
mm,
going on lately. But with this, what Scott has been doing, I think it's a breath of fresh air almost in a
mm,
way, because it's obviously meant to be Scott taking the mick.
yeah.
Um, it really it really elevates his character
Mm.
into being a shit
Shit
grinner.
house,
Yeah.
effectively.
Um, and Pele with an amazing catch debut.
Mm,
I really hope he sees more. I genuinely wonder because I believe this got booked because of how loud the reaction was to Pele the 2 weeks prior, being cheered for as Scott's possible challenger. So I wonder what the original plan was going to be because I doubt that it was Pele challenging Oberman. So I do wonder who would have uh, been out there. Maybe it was going to be Jeebus that were going to be fighting
I think
Oberman.
I think Jeebus could have took him.
Yeah, Jeebus going 10 rounds in the Tokyo Dome with Oberman.
Yeah. It'd be like Paul Heyman when he was Polly Dangerously, where he used to have the mobile phone. That could be Jeebus. He just smacks Scott over the head with his mobile phone.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
GB
possible.
dangerously.
And on that note, they have released uh a shirt that says "I'm a Jeebus guy," much in the same vein of "I'm a Paul Heyman guy." So, you know,
Might have to pick
not
one of
not
them
that
up,
I'm
to be fair.
not that I'm saying at any point that Jeebus is Paul Heyman in any sense, but
Just
um,
food for thought. I will say, one last note that I have, when Pele was getting out of the tombstone attempt,
hmm,
he did nearly knock out two of the lights while he was flailing around
yes.
the kicking.
And well, the lights took a bit of a hammering on this show, as Greenwood was kind of trying to get the lights from swaying along. Uh, one of the occasions was Danny Proper, which didn't help. But we'll come to that in due course. Um, we then come to the two Block B matches,
Block B, Block B, Block B.
and we had Tony Wright beat Adam Bolt, and Nadjei versus Danny Proper. I haven't wrote many notes at all because I got caught up watching the actual matches instead of writing notes. Um, but Wright and Bolt have a fair bit of a storied history now, uh, especially when it comes to kind of like True Grit um, and the history there. Uh, two men who this rivalry, I'm glad has come to the other side of the Pennines, uh, because having seen videos of it, it looks to be a hell of a rivalry. Um, and it's almost like Wright has two big rivals in his career currently. One having been Scott Oberman, and over the hills he's got Adam Bolt. To which Bolt is, I feel Bolt is very underrated on the UK scene. Uh, every time I've ever seen him on a show, he you could make the case he over delivers because he is just so good. Uh, and there's a few guys on the scene that I think are really good, but they perhaps don't get the credit or the breaks they should do. Bolt is definitely one of those. I feel, uh, especially having seen him at the Big Gay Brunch last year. Uh, he had an apps. I think at one point he was in four matches on one show. It was something ridiculous, like that. I think he was in the opening match, then he appeared in the second match, and then I think he appeared in the ladder match. Uh, it was a crazy day for Adam. Uh, I think it's fair to say. But this match, both men knew each other like the back of their hands. Counter after counter, fascinating uh, bout between the two. Bolt's character work with on the fans and just making both him and Wright look as good as you can do, if not even better. Uh, Tony Wright doing the same for Adam. The crowd solely behind Tony Wright in this contest. Uh, a match that we thought was going to go to a time limit draw, because they announced we had a minute to go, and even Mark Adams on commentary said he thought this would go to a draw, and it probably went about 9 minutes and 4 seconds, because it was very close to the last minute. Tony wins with the claim to fame and sees Tony Wright picking up a valuable win, because it was really do or die for him in this contest. Um, I'll do the next match and then we'll kind of do a quick overview of both. Nadjei and Danny Proper. Again, this was another. Uh, this was an interesting match for different reasons. Uh, Danny Proper looked almost like he was in. I'd almost say he felt a bit cocky in this match. Like he knew he could get the better of Nadjei, and Nadjei just was almost trying to prove to Proper that listen, I may be kind of like fun loving and like enthusiastic, but I'm no joke, and I will prove that to you in this match. And every time it seemed Proper kind of like throwing the heavy lumber at his opponent, Nadjei always responded. And a couple of times it looked like they were just beating the hell out of each other just for the sake of it. Uh, it was one of the things of it was so chaotic and not a clean match that it almost made this even better. Because we had one moment where Nadjei and Proper just rolled around, kind of brawling towards the back end of this contest. Uh, and at one point, I'm thinking, are they shooting on each other here? Because they were properly like throwing the punches and kicking each other. Um, this is the back end of the match. Again, going to the final minute. Nadjei applying a single half crab or half crab, whichever one you want to call it. Uh, and then we get the countdown from 10. And just as we're about to do it, Proper, who is in the middle of the ring, reaching around to try and get free, cannot do so. And if he'd held on for another 9 seconds, he would have picked up a point. Unfortunately, the pain was too much and he had to tap out. And saw Nadjei picking up his first win in a catch pro ring. And more importantly, picking up 2 points in the Enigma series. What were your takes on these two?
Um, so first of all, going back to Wright and Bolt, at the very even before the bell rang, Bolt got up in my face. Uh, Even though everyone else were booing him, he just thought, "Yeah, I'm gonna pick on you." Um, and he
Yes,
basically
I
did.
forgot about this.
You know the clip from the Office, the proper version of the Office,
Mm.
um, where Ricky Gervais just goes, "Oh, you're hard." That's basically what Adam Bolt
Yes,
did to me.
yes. It's, it was the case of he came up to you and you chatted to him, and then he kept on at you, and you stood up. You went, "Come on, then." And then Bolt just stared at you and just went, "Oh, okay, you're hard." He was like, "Is that it?"
And then just
And then
walked away.
he just walked away, and then you
Yeah.
very much just went, "Good," and then just sat down. Which to which I looked at John, and John just thinking, "I remember them days." Just starting on everyone.
Um, Based on the actual contest, I like the overall story they're telling with Block B.
Mm.
Um, because both matches we saw it come down to less than a minute left. Obviously, with a proper in Nadjei, it came down just to the wire. Um, so I feel like it is setting up for the show free. We are going to see a time limit draw there somewhere
Mm.
because they put that into the universe now. Um, I will say, at first, it was weird to me that Nadjei and Proper was the main event of this
Yeah,
show because even though Proper, uh, I see Proper as like Mr. Catch,
yeah.
you know, at this point. It still felt weird to go over Wright and Bolt, considering the history Wright and Bolt have, maybe not in Catch, but in, other promotions, because Catch does acknowledge
Mm.
all the other promotions around it and their histories. So it was weird, but I feel like both matches delivered um on what like we all had expectations. They delivered on them.
Yep.
They both served as really great matches to watch, and it just made me even more excited for the last matches because I believe it's Wright and Nadjei who they're picking up their feud again
Mm.
that they've had. Um, and then it is Bolt and Proper,
Yeah.
which should be a fun one. And the last thing I'll say, you said about Danny being arrogant, but we did see Nadjei signs that he could be a bit heelish because when
Mm.
Danny got a knock on his leg and the ref were checking him, making sure Danny wants to continue, Nadjei pushed the ref out the way, and that's what started the back and forth blows, the ground and pounds. So we, I liked how we saw both
Yeah.
competitors could turn to the dark side, but luckily they didn't in this match.
I think also with Nadjei, again, I think it was that case of proving he wasn't a soft touch, and he wanted to prove to Proper of I am. I am a really good wrestler and I'm going to prove it. And it was the thing of I I have to, if a chance appears or presents itself, I will do whatever I have to do to win within kind of the confines of the rules.
To use a Sonic reference for Nadjei because he loves that. He was trying to prove I am all of me. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
No.
It's all right because if Nadjei's listening, he'll get it. And
Well,
maybe like two people.
we'll put it this way: if Dean's watching this, he will find that massively fantastic, and will probably clip this. Uh, but not me. Uh, However, an interesting point is all four men have 2 points.
Hmm.
So it really is going to the wire uh, in group, sorry, in a block B. Um, so yeah, it's interesting developments in both blocks A and B. We concluded the the show with Nadjei and Proper still going head to head and kind of butting head, so to speak. This was until James Greenwood came dashing down to ringside and saying, "Hurry, hurry, quick, quick, quick! You gotta go! You gotta come! You gotta come!" No one knew what was going on. Uh, so you had Greenwood, Proper, Ref Stew, and Nadjei all dashing uh, into the through the doors where all the talent was. And Mark Adams informed us that something serious was going on and asked if we could leave in a calm manner. Uh, to which a couple of us thought, yeah, we know what this is going to be. And we were right. Um, so, those that haven't seen the Patreon and at the same time were there, um, we had a good idea that we were going to get Steen and Skinner have a pull apart or something along the lines of that. And the two had a mini brawl in the back. Ended up with Skinner being thrown over the table. Uh, Ian responds by smashing a almost a slate over the head of Aiton Steen. They said a brick, but I doubt it's brick because it would have killed him if it was a brick. Uh, but smashing something over his head that was like pot. Steen then reappears and has a trickle of blood going down the side of his face. So I suppose you could say that Skinner has drawn first blood in this particular encounter, if you want to go that way. Um, but yeah, it is shaping up very nicely, that little feud ahead of the dog collar match. Um, what was your take? Because I think you've seen a couple of these videos now.
Yeah, seeing the varying quality of any camera that was in the vicinity to
Hmm.
capture this. Um, it was interesting, but also a bit weird to leave it on. Uh, but I guess it's good they did it this show because
Hmm.
if it happened with a bigger crowd, maybe they might not have gotten everyone out there. But for those who stayed behind, you got to see Aitenstein uh like peek out at the door, just the blood still dripping down his face. Probably seeing if Skinner had left. Um, and yeah, just a nice I reckon after this we don't hear anything until Gorilla because I that is a final note to end on. Uh is nice. The only other thing I can think of is if the pair of them in the next taping start brawling in the crowd.
Mm,
That's the only way that I can think that would escalate beyond this. But I doubt it considering they've got the rest of the card that they need to still fill out. Um, Speaking of which, I'm just getting it up because I believe I'm trying to find the statement they made a couple days ago where they did announce a match for the pre-show of the Gorilla event. If I can just get it up here. So this is from Catch officially. Due to the bank holiday, they have made the decision to move Gimme Danger to the slightly earlier time of 4 p.m. And they will be taping an invitational gauntlet featuring non-Enigma Series finalists. The
mm,
main show will begin at 5. Now, we had a little bit of a debate over what the wording of this means because originally we thought it meant anyone who wasn't in the Enigma series. But based on the wording, it's going to be anyone who isn't in the final match to crown the Enigma series winner.
mm.
So that would mean six, um, as how it should work, six of the eight competitors. But obviously, if there's some tiebreakers, we don't know how they're going to sell it if people are tied on points. But if we are right, we know at the very least Kev Lloyd will be in that match
Yeah.
because he's the only one mathematically uh, out of a shot to win the Enigma series.
Mm. So the only one we definitely know that isn't going through is going to be Lloyd. Um, Again, it's hard to predict what's going to happen in Block A. Um, as we stand, it looks like Keinen is going to top Group A. Uh, Looking at Group B, it's, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it's going to come down to tiebreakers, really, uh, as it looks like. Either that or we're going to get a case of someone wins and then they try and force a draw or a disqualification.
Even if they force a disqualification, it would still mean they're tied with someone because the other person would still get 2 points for the win. I think it's only minus points if you're the one who gets DQ'd.
But if you're not involved in the match, it won't make a difference. So you could cause a draw.
A double DQ,
Mm,
meaning that that would mean 1 point split evenly.
yeah.
Yeah, but that does seem like a bold thing to do, and because it's looking like the top of Block A is going to be either Declan or Keinen, depending on how their match goes, I I hesitate on saying that's where they'll take it because I doubt they'll run heel versus heel for the win.
Oh, before we go then, as we draw this to a close, uh, who out of both blocks would you go for winning? If you had
I
to go winner from either one.
I would pick Keinen to win Block A. Uh, and then I would go with Danny Proper to win Block B. Uh, Once again, denying Tony of that one-on-one match he has been hoping for since Keenan attacked him. And then I would have Northwest Strong help Keenan win the Enigma series to uh, challenge at the moment Big T, who still
Mm.
holds the GMAC.
The GMAC. Um, I think Bolt will win, I feel. A part of me thinks Faust might win, and we get a Faust Bolt final. Uh, because it's going to be interesting what happens on that. Because say for instance, Deck beats Henry. I'm sorry, Deck beats Krishna, and Faust wins. I I I, I may need to ask on tiebreakers how
I
you
I
how you work
assume
it
I assume the tiebreaker is going to be head to head
head to
between
head.
the two, and in that case, Faust would go through because I'm using football logic. If
Hmm.
not, it'll be who had their matches, like who had the shortest time to win, basically. In the matches they won, who uh won in the quickest time. That would be the only two ways I can see. Or they just go a sudden death uh between the two. But we won't know until they reveal the cards.
Yeah,
Because if they don't plan any other matches, then we could have the sudden deaths. But if they are other matches, it makes it hard to tell.
because I have a booking idea, but I will tell you off air,
Oh.
uh, because I'm interested to see if they go down the route I'm thinking. Um, but I will go Faust and Bolt.
And then who do you have winning out of the two of them?
Uh, Good question. If it was for the main title, I would have Bolt going for it. If it was for the GMAC, I would go Faust
Oh.
based on the two I've selected. So yeah, that is my thought on it. So that nicely brings this episode to an end. Uh, as we have been talking for just over an hour, which is quite good for me recording podcasts because sometimes these go on for nearly 2 hours. So we are way under budget, so to speak. Uh, but I will ask the question. Uh, any other business? So, is there anything you would like to plug or promote?
Yes. Please check out Rambling About Wrestling. If you want to see more of me, I have a
And
series.
OnlyFans?
Hey, if money gets tight, you never know. Um, I currently have a series called Gaze into the Future Shock where I do fantasy bookings on Future Shock. But if there is an audience for it, I can sneak catch into there and have it be Manchester Promotions fantasy booking. I will also be doing most of the reviews for Catch and Future Shock over there and general fun lists, short lists videos that I'm hoping to get out soon. So yeah, check out Ramblin About Wrestling. The no G in Ramblin. Don't click on the one with a G in it. That's that's other people who got the name first, but Jax doesn't changed it.
Good old Jack. Uh, I mean, for me, it's pretty much Brad's Grappers on everything, really. I have just posted a blog piece on my secret love of wrestling part three, to which I've realized I seem to post something about it every 2 years. So look forward to my secret love of wrestling part four in 2028. Um, whether I'm still attending wrestling shows, we don't know. Uh, but we'll know in 2 years' time, won't we? However, uh, thank you to Sam, who's helped on the last two episodes. Always a joy to have you on
It's
and
always a pleasure to be here.
welcome you back. Um, not wearing the mask, which I'm slightly disappointed on.
Next Future Shock show, if the Horde are on, I'll wear the Horde mask. That's
That's not a threat. That's a promise.
yeah.
Um, but yes, thank you for watching. If I decide to get around to posting this as a visual show, if not, thank you very much for listening. Hopefully, you've enjoyed. So like, subscribe, give a good comment about the podcast. Would be very much appreciated. Follow Rambling about wrestling. Badmouth Jack, praise Sam. Uh, Jack won't watch this, so it won't make a difference. Uh, thank you very much, though. If you're going to a wrestling show anytime soon, enjoy yourself. Don't be a dick. Most importantly, we don't like dicks. But yeah, that is pretty much it. There will be a few more shows upcoming because I have a busy day tomorrow. You'll know when they come out. But thank you for listening and goodbye.